Any good day starts off with a great breakfast. Here we are, guys, episode 2 of the two-part adventure to the MidWest Gascoyne. We started off, if you saw the previous episode, there was a little bit of a rock face that went behind the campsite. So the first thing in the morning, we decided to go out there and have a bit of a go on the rocks and that kind of thing. Most of it was pretty tame, literally just like a rock face, but there was some good spots in there which you could sort of get the wheels sort of flexing out and all that kind of thing, but most of it was pretty tame. But the campsite actually turned out to be fantastic. It cut out all the wind, and we had a really good night's sleep there. So I actually pretty much wanted to stay there all night and not actually go to Payne's Find, because obviously after here we went to Payne's Find and that kind of thing, and went off to Sandstone. But yeah, I was just at that point where I was like, oh, why don't we just stay here? But yeah, we had to move on. It was getting a bit rainy and that kind of thing. So as you see, there's a little bit of water stuck around. So we decided, no, we'll keep on moving and obviously go to the next spot. And we moved on essentially to Payne's Find. So from this location, we packed up and went to a place called Payne's Find. At Payne's Find, essentially, there's a bit of a roadhouse and not much else going on there. There's an old museum, like an old mining museum you can go to there. And I think it was like $6 or something to go through. It was absolutely belting down with rain when we got there, so we decided not to go through there. But it looked pretty interesting. We were thinking about going in, but it was just absolutely pouring down with rain, and yeah, we just couldn't sort of think about going in there just because it was just so wet. And from there, we pretty much went down the gravel road towards Payne's Find. Towards Sandstone, and in Sandstone, we sort of just sort of checked our bearings and that kind of thing, made sure everything on the car. Cars were okay because the road from Payne's Find to Sandstone was absolutely massively corrugated, and we think that's where Reese had a few dramas, as you'll see at the end of this video, came about. But yeah, it was a fairly corrugated road. Both cars went really well. There's no real dramas, but yeah, we think that sort of might have damaged Reese's car. That you'll see at sort of the end of the video coming up. But from there, we went to see London's Bridge, and I'll leave you with the rest of the video, and you guys can have a bit of a watch out. And there's probably one little bit of technical driving, which is this bit here, where I got a little bit of wheel lift, which was sort of a bit of a technical sort of section of the track, because I didn't want to put my wheel in the wrong section of the rock. But yeah, sort of getting up here was it's a bit of fun, and yeah, technical driving. We took a few photos and that kind of thing of the cars up there, but yeah, you can see I was getting a little bit stuck in the rocks and that kind of thing, but a little bit of right foot and sort of made it all through, and a little bit of wheel lift as well, which is always good fun. So yeah, I'll leave it there, and you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Well, everybody, welcome to a thing called London Bridge. So this is one of the main reasons we came out this way, because this is a bit of a tourist destination, and it's an amazing looking thing. So it used to be actually used by the people back in the day. They used to obviously drive carts and that kind of thing over it, and obviously used to use carts and drive under it and that kind of thing. So You're not really allowed to drive over anything or walk on it anymore as of today because it's getting a bit fragile. So they say, you know, they recommend do not walk on top of it. But it is a awesome piece of landscape, and it's probably one of the most awesome natural sort of wonders that I've seen. Sort of, you know, I've seen like bridges and that kind of thing with rock formations, but this is like one massive rock formation. So it's an awesome, awesome looking thing. From here, we sort of had a bit of a squiz around, and it's pretty popular. There was about 3 or 4 cars that sort of rocked up when we were there. We were only there for about half an hour, so it's definitely a popular little place. So if you go to Sandstone, definitely recommend obviously having a bit of a squiz. And you can see here we sort of fly underneath it, so you can get a real idea of sort of what's going on there, and almost clip the drone on a rock. But yeah, I missed it by probably a couple of inches, but you know, that's all the fun of it. And this place is called the Brewery. So back in the day, this cave used to actually be used to store beer. So I'm assuming here that it used to be really cold, obviously, and obviously this is the outback, so it was probably a colder place than most others. But they used to obviously store beer and that kind of thing here, and obviously alcohol and all the rest of it. So it's just a standard cave. There is nothing fancy going on there. There's a bit of a like a barbecue burner or something at the front there, but yeah, that's about it. So cool little get a photo there and that kind of thing, and it's got a bit of a hole on top of it. So you know, it's an interesting enough cave, but you know, it's just a cave. But we had a bit of a squeeze in there and had a bit of a look in. There's some old sort of relics in there. There's a bit of like an old torch and that kind of stuff in there. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the London Bridge. That was one of the main reasons I really want to get down there, have a real good look at it, because I've seen photos and that kind of thing on the internet, and I was sort of like, oh yeah, it's like a rock. But seeing it in person just made a real big difference, because the way the rock formed over the arch opening and that kind of thing, it's a real weird way of doing it. So that's what piqued my interest, and you know, I'll definitely go back again, because I just think it's one of those sort of like awesome things that you just see in nature. So but that's Sandstone, and that's the London Bridge, and yeah, so that, I mean, definitely one of the highlights of the trip there. So over the radio, Reese pulled up and said he's having a bit of a drama with his car, and we had a bit of a look, got the water out, and just checked up on everything. We was having a few dramas with the radiator before, so we sort of had a bit of a look inside, and yep, when you know it, the radiator had a crack in it. So this is actually the footage of the second fill up. So we actually started refilling the radiator. We thought we could actually get away with just refilling it up and all the rest of it, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. We had to end up towing him back to Mount Magnet. But it's, you know, one of those things. We think the actual road from Payne's Fine to Sandstone was the actual issue, and just the corrugations end up cracking the radiator, and you know, and that was it. So yeah, this is just us on the side of the road between Mount Magnet and Sandstone, trying to refill up his car. As you can see, he's super happy about the situation, because obviously, yeah, it pretty much actually got so hot that it actually cut out his engine. So, so yeah, he was a little bit cautious on. He might have actually done some damage to his car. So, so yeah, and obviously, yeah, you know, it's just one of those situations that you can't really avoid, because you know, it's a radiator. I mean, the radiator was 5 years old, but you can't really tell if these things are going to break on a trip, or you know, the mount or something like that on the radiator might have got damaged when it went through corrugations and all the rest of it. So, so yeah, it turned out that we were having a long way home, and it sort of cut the trip a little bit short. But you know, these things happen. We can't really do much about these things on the road. So, you know, you plan for it. That's why you always have extra water and that kind of thing, because you always got to plan for these kind of things. Even if you don't think it's going to happen, you always got to have the plan and preparation in place just in case it does happen, so you're not stranded on the side of the road. So we had plenty of water. We had plenty of tow snatch straps and all the rest of it, so we could tow him. And we got back in the end. But you know, it's be prepared or you know, face the consequences of being stranded out in the middle of nowhere. So but yeah, end of our trip. What is going on, everybody? We're going pretty well, but it looks like Reese's car's blown a radiator, so he's cracked his radiator. We're about 100 clicks out of Mount Magnet at the moment, so I'm towing him. We were going to get an epic roast on tonight, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen because we're not going to get to camp probably till about 5:30 now, because I'm pulling him and we're only doing about 90 k's an hour, so it's going to take at least 5:30 to get to Mount Magnet. So not much we could really done about it. It's a radiator that cracked, so it's obviously just at the end of its time, but you know, it just happened to the worst time of all, obviously between Mount Magnet and Sandstone. But all in all, awesome trip, even though we had a bit of a breakdown. Still an epic trip. I won't give Reese too much hate for Trident pulling a Land Cruiser along, but you know, it is what it is. You help a mate out when he's in need. But I'll leave it there. I probably won't get any more footage from here because it's pretty much just going to be dragging the Land Cruiser home, and then from there we'll just see what we can do about the radiator. He's hopefully might be able to get a radiator brought up, but it's a long drive for someone to bring a radiator, so it looks like I'll probably be towing him back. But that's cool. Here's what it is. But that's been another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures. I hope you enjoyed this one. It did end on a little bit of an issue, but unfortunately, you know, that is what it is. But I'll see you out there on the tracks and trails, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.